Hi, do you remember me? I'm Johanna Caroline Malmgren, and I came to Utah because I got put in jail in Sweden, and so I had to come to Utah, and I married Carl, and I was his second wife because he already had a wife named Ingra. And so we practiced polygamy, and we lived in Utah. And I remember when we were in Utah, we had something called the crickets came, and that would happen now and then. And it was when our crops were planted, and so there's our grain. And remember, we're the only ones here in Utah, the Latter-day Saint people, the members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And so there's no one else here, and so we have to take care of ourselves. And so we got our crops planted, and the crickets came. The grasshoppers, they eat crops. Oh no. And it's like a great big black cloud in the sky when they come because they fly in. And there's so many of them. And they came and they started eating our crops, and you can't do anything. I can't kill that many. You can't do anything. We were doing what we could to try to save them, and we prayed because we're going to starve. There's no stores, that we don't have anybody else around. We got to take care of ourselves. And we had the miracle, what's called the miracle of the seagulls. The seagulls came. Heavenly Father called the seagulls, and they started eating those cricket bugs. All of the seagulls came flying down, and they would eat them, and then they would fly away and throw up the crickets that they ate. And then they would come back and eat some more. And then they'd go throw them, and they'd come back and eat some more, and they'd keep doing that. Oh my goodness, Heavenly Father had the seagulls help us. We were able to save most of the crops. Oh, thank you, seagulls. Thank goodness for them. We were here when Johnston's army came. Maybe you've heard about them. They came to Utah because they heard that Mormons were making problems and doing all kinds of bad stuff. And they got out here and they found, hey, we aren't so bad. We're pretty nice people. We're living our religion. We're planting good crops. We're taking care of ourselves. And they got out here and they didn't have a lot to do. They shouldn't even come out. Anyway, they came out here, and what some of us would do, us women, is we would make some pies and make a whole bunch of, different pies and stuff. And then we would go out and sell them to the army. There's Johnston's army out there. And so we'd bring our pies out and sell them to the boys in the army. And, they have to make fun of us because we're practicing polygamy. And they knew I did. And so one of them asked me, so how many husbands do you have? And I said, well, a half of one, sir. Because, my husband has 2 wives. And they laughed so hard. They thought that was so funny. And I'm like, yeah, don't make fun of us. And there was one big guy, I thought he was going to fall off his wagon. He was laughing so hard. They liked that. So anyway, they were bad people. They just, we got along pretty well, actually. I worked as kind of a, well, I didn't even work as it. I was just kind of a midwife, is what we were kind of called back then. And I would just, kind of a doctor, basically, help deliver babies, or if you're sick, I'll come and help you. And I did quite a bit of it. And there was a doctor around and offered to just make me up a certificate that says I'm a midwife. And I just said, no, I'll just go where I'm called and where I'm needed. I don't need to have it anything fancy about it. We're just helping each other out. And I was pretty good at it. I had a kind of a healer's touch to it. Guess what, though? My mom and dad and brothers came to Utah. They made it. They also joined the church. Do you remember them? Clear from Sweden, my dad Bengt and my mom Sissa, and then Nils and Sven, my little brother. And Nils is the guy who rowed me across the ocean. Remember that? They came to America and came to Utah. We were so happy to have them around. And George and I, meanwhile, we had a whole lot of kids. Let me tell you all those kids. we had 11 kids, and this is our first one, Joseph, and then Emma, and now James, he died when he was just a baby, and then Oscar Hiram, Hannah Cecilia, Clara Ann, and Nils Edward and Sven Edwin. They are twins. Can you tell? This is what they look like. Can you tell they kind of look alike? And we just call them Edward and Edwin. And they were twins. Kind of neat, huh? And then our youngest is George Washington Capson, because he was born on the 4th of July. We like this country because we don't have a 4th of July in, Sweden or anywhere. And we thought, all right, we're going to name him after the father of our new country now, George Washington Capson. And then Jetta Helena Capson. And that is our 2 youngest kids right there. There's George and Jetta. That's what they look like. And as I got older, and that's what I look like now that I'm older. And I had worn glasses most of my life because you get old and your eyesight goes bad. And when I turned about 90 years old, I didn't need glasses anymore. Whoa, how does that happen? That's kind of neat, huh? And I put on my glasses one morning, and I couldn't see anything. I took them off, and I could see fine. Hey, that's nice. And so we had an old folks party in Blackfoot, Idaho. Here's all the old folks at their old folks party. Have a nice little party. And so they gave me the book Ivanhoe. Gave me a book, and they also gave me an award because the oldest person who could read without glasses, and I could read just fine without my glasses. That's kind of neat, huh? When I got older, I lived with my son, George Washington Capson. And I just lived with him and his family. And I knew his wife, Betsy, in Utah. And her and George met and they got married, and we're so glad they did. And they lived up in the mountains, up in the mountains in Idaho, and they built a house up there, and they had a lot of kids too, and they had sheep. They had a nice big spring where they kept their food cold. That was their refrigerator. And their little girl Myrtle would like it when I would sit in a chair and I put my long white hair over the back of the chair, and she could just brush my hair and brush and brush and brush my hair. And that was very nice of her. I liked that. And my son George would kind of tease me sometimes because I would put on a lot of nice powder like every nice lady does. And he would just tease me about that. And I would say, oh, er vi go, versa blå, which basically means when we go out, the wind will blow it off. It was just a joke. The wind wouldn't. But anyway, he would tease me about that. And I just loved living with them. Betsy was such a nice daughter-in-law for me. And her mother died when she was young. And so I was kind of like her mother, too. And there was a time I was just help Betsy around the house, and I told her one day, Betsy, Dad has come for me many times. That's what I called Carl. It's Dad, because that's all the kids called him. And he's passed away. He died. And I said, Betsy, Dad has come for me many times, and I think the next time he comes, I will be ready to go with him, to go to the other side and to go back to my Heavenly Father. And that was about she told me that, and about 2 days later, she had a stroke and she died, and George's mom died, and she got to go and be with her Carl and be with the rest of her family. We will sure miss her. She was a good pioneer woman. She lived a good life.